Alright, welcome everyone. First video here, so bear with me if there's any rough edges. I'm here to showcase some bee detach spots and sapsucker kill spots that I've been using on quota 1 in v81 now that Adamance is no longer the most attractive planet to go to when you're trying to reach high quota numbers. There's some spots that have been known in older versions, and I'll show them working in the newer versions, but largely I have a lot of new stuff to show that people may not know about. Now, one of the most difficult, or time-consuming rather, tasks is to transfer a beehive when it's in this main area here. You have to use several stam cycles just to get it back to the ship. And this can also be really risky in the late day when there's dogs or worms that are trying to eat you. Not only that, but underneath fire exit or anywhere in between, it can take a long time and even be risky to transfer those bees back, as well as the sapsucker eggs. So I'm going to show a few of the ways that I've discovered and I've been using in order to claim all the beehives and all the sapsucker eggs on every quota 1 day. Alright, so the best way to get the bees detached from their hive in this main area is to actually do this little jump here onto the rock. It does take some practice, and you ideally want to be 0 weight. With any amount of weight, it becomes a lot harder, and this definitely takes some practice to get. Like, even I've been doing this ever since I found it, and it still is a little bit inconsistent for me. You want to jump right after the apex of this hill here to hit it most consistently. Something like that. That was close. We'll see one more try here. There we go. And then actually from here you can climb all the way up and get onto the pipe. This is a safe spot from pretty much all the mobs on the outside, and I think it's actually the fastest way to get from main to fire exit. Especially late day when there's dogs around, you can kind of just full sprint and not have to worry about any of the dogs. And I think the next fastest way is to go all the way to the ladder, climb up, and then jump back to the pipe. So this saves you a little bit of time when transiting. So a common spot for the bees to spawn is over in these bushes here. They can be hidden. Sometimes you have to scan for them. And in order to get the bees detached from their hive so you can have an easier time bringing them back to ship, all you gotta do is that same jump I just showed, except with the beehive in your hand, which it ends up being 0 weight, so there shouldn't be an issue to get it up here. And this is actually a safe spot from the bees. They can't really get you. You could walk even all the way to fire with the hive in your hand, but all you gotta do to detach the hive is just drop it on the ground, or on the rock rather, right here. And then you kind of just jump away, don't get yourself hit, and just like that they'll detach. And sometimes they'll go around the rock, which is actually a nicer spot, and they'll park themselves somewhere in the area. And all you gotta do is break line of sight by hiding behind the rock at a certain angle, and then just jump and grab the hive. And now from here, the bees will be detached from the hive. Just don't walk too close to them with the hive in your hand while maintaining line of sight. So I could bring this around over to fire now, or even sometimes you can just sneak right by them like this. Oh, not that time. Alright, I'm gonna show this one more time just to see if I can get the bees to park in a slightly different spot. And go, do the jump. I think we want to just drop the hive kind of in the middle of this ledge, like right around here, and you can run yourself back this way, and the bees will park right in this little nook of the rock here. And in this case, when they're on this side, you just go over here and jump and grab the hive, and you can just haul it all the way back to ship. Pretty simple. Now, when they are in this spot, it kind of makes it more difficult to do 2 of the hives. Like if I want to do the jump again, I'm gonna be taking hits there. It won't kill you, but obviously damage isn't ideal. Maybe we can force them to go to the other side if you place it like I did before. Let's try that one. Come on, aggro me. There we go. Missed. And kind of place it on this side this time. Let's see where they go. Yeah, now they're kind of away from the jump spot, so if you wanted to, you could do a second hive. Sometimes there is multiple in the bushes there. And similarly, just break line of sight, jump grab the hive, and haul it away. Now, I'll use that spot there to detach any of the hives in this general area. But as you move over this way, you have some more hive spots around fire and around the lordship by the pipes here. And I've come up with a few spots here that do work. First being right here underneath the fire exit. Let's spawn in a hive. Now, in V70 and maybe even earlier, this rock, this tall one here in the group of 3, ends up being a god spot, so you can see the bees can't actually hit me here. And you might remember this from the sapsucker spot, like this spot is safe from the sapsucker. So I can kind of just camp here indefinitely. Now we're going to use that. Rock spot and just grab the hive, jump onto the rock. You do want to be on the back side of the rock. If you're too far that way, the bees can chip you. But you can stand here as long as you want, regen some stamina. And what I'm going to do is jump and try and place the hive on this top beam here. Where just look up and kind of place the hive upward. And then I just kind of path back this way so you can park the bees right behind the beam. And I think this entire structure here will block line of sight. So like, oh, never mind, I'm wrong about that. But we're going to want the bees parked on the backside, so let's just aggro them here by going between the bees and the hive, and I'm going to bring them to the backside. And from here I can kind of just do the same jump and grab the hive and bring it back to ship. Pretty quick. And the bees will stay here, again, indefinitely until you bring the hive close to them. This spot also works for multiple hives because you just gotta lead them to different spots. So with the second bee, I would probably lead it over this way more so I don't run into that guy. So there's another way of doing this kind of similar detach, especially when you're coming from this middle area, or the direction of this middle area. This spot, you're gonna have to grab the hive and jump twice, once onto this beam and another time up here. If you're fast enough, you won't take damage. And then you can regen as much stamina here as you need. I like to place the hive on the top part of this beam here. And then you're gonna want to just jump away and not take any more damage. Lead them back this way. And just like that, they'll park in the same spot. This one's a little easier to grab, so you can just jump grab the hive and take it back to ship. So the last spot that I'll show, this one that I found, it's in this middle area by the hill here between main and fire, and it's definitely the least consistent. Like, I'll find myself using the main spot or the fire spot more often, because this one is very particular on where you need to place the hive, but I'll show it for completion's sake. There we go. So you kind of want to place the hive right halfway up the hill, maybe a little more than halfway up, right near this edge here, like right before you go around this corner. And the bees will park themselves up top. And to grab it, you kind of just approach from this side, and you should be able to just jump grab the hive if you placed it low enough. Now, a few issues with this spot. I mean, I'll be transparent in that this clip here probably took me 20 tries just to replicate, but I also practiced this one the least amount. I end up just using, yeah, one of the other spots that I showed. And also, if you place the hive too high, you won't be able to jump and grab it. And then in any other of the spots, the bees can risk detaching themselves and roaming around the map, which you certainly don't want. And you also don't really get a second try at this detach, given that if, you'll have to go all the way around the hill, sometimes even use a full stamina bar just to bring the hive back up. And at that point, you're better off just bringing it straight to ship. So I highly recommend practicing this one if you want to use it. And if you are consistent with it, it can be just a minor time save compared to the other ones. Moving on, we have sapsucker spots. Now, I'll cover the two that I started knowing, which were showcased by Call Me Bread in a previous video. These worked on previous versions, and they still work on this one. You can kind of aggro the bird and jump onto this rock. This rock is again a god spot that he can't hit you on, and I can just dispose of him just like this. I do recommend not grabbing the egg. Like, if the nest is close enough to the rock, I would just hit him with a shovel or aggro him like you saw me do there, and then walk to the rock, because when you're killing him, if you don't have the egg, he'll just sit here like a good bird and let you kill him. He won't run around or anything. But if you have the egg with you, let's see if I can demonstrate here. I might need a new... Gonna need a new sapsucker here. Hold on. So if you have the egg with you, he's gonna run all over the place. He's gonna walk back and forth. He's gonna run away, and it can take up to like 2 or 3 times as long just to kill him, just because he's running all over the place. He's not staying in one spot. Bad bird. Bad bird. Versus if you're confident and you're quick, you can just aggro him just like this. Jump on the rock. And just like that, he'll be a good bird. He won't run all over the place. He just stands in one spot and behaves like a good bird. So, ideally when it's possible, you don't want to bring the egg with you. And this goes for the old versions on v73. It's the same behavior on old adamants and even on these rocks on assurance. So, lesson being, try to not grab the egg when possible. So the other spot that I'd say is known is right by the lordship here, and the pipes in the middle of the map. You got this god rock right here. You can kind of jump up from either side. And there's a few sapsucker spawns in this area, so this is where I would perform the kill if I was in this area. Kind of bait him as close as you can, give him a smack, and you might take a hit or two, but if the nest is close enough, you won't get hit. And just like before, try not to bring the egg. It'll be a lot quicker with him sitting in one spot. And he kind of sits, he'll stand on the spot where you jumped up from because it was your last known spot. And yeah, another thing is don't ever stop hitting him like I just did there. He will walk away and you'll have to re-aggro, possibly taking more damage. But we can kind of bring his aggro back just like that and start punching him like this. And without the egg, just like before, he's going to stand in one spot and give you the quickest kill. So the last spot that the bird can spawn is usually like close to the bushes here or anywhere in this general area. In this example, he's kind of closer to the rock, which is actually a good thing. You will want to wait for him to go to sleep. one thing that helps here is to do the skill jump. Kind of pre-place your shovel up there, just so you're lower weight when trying to get up there, holding the egg. And this one you will need to grab the egg for. Unless you're a madman, I guess. I'll show that in a second. Let's wait for him to go to sleep here. So it might take some time for him to actually aggro and come over to you. He can even go to sleep several times between. Come on, buddy. I got your child here. Just be patient and wait for him to walk over. Sometimes he'll take a nap, and then he'll just instantly snap out of his nap and run over to you. But as soon as he's in range, start smacking him. Don't stop. Sometimes he behaves better than others, but it can help to have the egg in your hand. Especially when he's over that way, he'll have trouble sticking to you. But once he is actually standing in this spot, it's pretty consistent, and he'll kind of just stand there the rest of the time. So in this instance, he's just gonna let me finish the kill by standing here. And this one's hard to do without grabbing the egg. And yeah, you get the idea. So we don't do the same jump that I showed before from the bees, because every little bit of weight you have makes that jump much more difficult and less consistent. And when you got a sapsucker chasing you, it's going to be more risky, and you really only have seconds to get to the safe spot. So I got the inputs on screen now to show you exactly how I got up there. The first step typically I do is I like to pre-place the shovel here, just because you have the time for that. And then wait for the sapsucker to sleep and steal the egg. Also, something to note is when the sapsucker is farther away from the spot, like over in that area, and you steal the egg, once you surpass a specific radius from the nest, the egg will hatch and then auto aggro the sapsucker. So once you leave that radius, you have literally a few seconds to get up here. Now, the way I'm going to do it is walk up to this corner here, and I'm going to do a simple jump right up here. And you'll notice I'm not holding any keys right now. If I hold W, I'm just going to slowly slip down and lose height. And we want to maintain that height through the jump sequence. So do one simple jump up here. And for the next jump, I'm going to go to the right slightly. And for the last jump, to the left slightly. And just like that, you're up. I definitely recommend practicing this one, but once you have it down, it's pretty hard to fail. So I'm going to try it without the egg, just for speed's sake. And I think the only way to get up there without the egg is to actually have the sapsucker punch you up. He does a considerable amount of knockback whenever he hits you, but using this method, you are planning to take damage from him, and he only does, 1/10 of your health with every hit. So the quicker you are, the less damage you'll take. Let's aggro him here, and there we go. I took 2 hits and I'm up, and then I can just start killing him like this. And like I mentioned before, when you don't have the egg with you, he'll just stay in one spot, making the kill 2 or 3 times faster. But with this method, you will guarantee taking some non-zero amount of damage. but I believe that is the faster way of doing it by a good margin. And now I can just carry the eggs back to ship. Now I wanted to mention this one last spot where you can actually climb these pipes here. Again, this one requires you to have the egg. And it can be nicer when the bird is a little bit closer to the bushes here. It's going to take a few jumps, and you can get onto the second rung here of the ladder. And then, like before, it's going to take a second for the bird to aggro, but it is a god spot. You want to like drop the egg kind of close to the pipe there, and you should be able to just hit him like so. But he will spaz out, and this one takes a lot of time because he doesn't often just sit near you, and it can be really dangerous as you try and move around the pipe to hit him. So it's not the safest spot. And takes a lot of time, but you might be able to perfect this one better than I have. So for the sake of completion, I'll show how to do the ship-based bees when the bees are in range of the ship. There's a lot of bee spawns back there, back here, all the way up the hill where the kidnapper fox spawns, and the dropship hill as well. And this tech has been around for a while. I don't remember what version it was technically possible in first, but I've seen it demonstrated a few times by Bread, and it seems to be pretty consistent for solo runs, especially when you need to bring back multiple bees on ship, and you don't want to leave them on the side here because grabbing 2 or 3 bees even as a solo player is nearly undoable. So you're gonna take the file cabinet here, place it like so, take the bunk beds, rotate them 90 degrees, and put them here. It can be on either side, this side or that side, but you want it near the entrance. And the goal is to drop the bees on the top shelf, but I believe it does work on the second shelf as well. So I like to bring the bees around this area. Once they're positioned somewhat near the ship, you can grab them. They're aggro. Bring them up the side, jump in place, and yeah, you're going to need to do a little terminal clip to get away from them. To do it damageless, if you run back out the entrance of the ship, you risk taking 1 or 2 hits from the bees, but you can see that the bees will go to their hive in the top shelf, and I think they're technically on the roof here. So you can walk all up around them. They won't aggro you, but if you go too high and place yourself in line of sight of the roof, they will aggro you, and most notably that's done when you're on the rail here. So you can see as soon as I hop higher than the waist height, the bees will aggro me. So you got to be careful, especially around ship. You want to jump through the ladder hole here. Sometimes even on this side they can aggro you, but not in this instance. You want to jump through the ladder. So if I'm jumping up onto the rail, they're going to see me. Makes it a little annoying to jetpack back to ship at the end of the day, but I mean, when are you having a jetpack on assurance unless you forgot that rend costs 550 now? And this method is pretty easy to do with multiple bees. That's in particular what I'd use it for. With a single beehive, I'd just put it on the edge of the ship and just grab it at the end of the day so you don't have to spend the time adjusting the furniture. But yeah, thanks everyone for taking a look at my info, and hopefully some of these techniques can help you get some absurd top lines on assurance and prep yourself in the most modern version for Quota 2. So, thanks again for watching. Oh yeah, and don't tell Zeekers about this.